Hi there, Evan here with Crypto and Markets for Tuesday, June 19th, 2018. I'm sure everyone here has been following what's been going on in the bond market recently, both in Canada and the US. Essentially, I did a previous video on this as well. It's just a typical late cycle move as the economy is starting to slow and the central banks are still pushing up rates. The short end of the curve, T-bills, 1 year, 2 year, are pushing up. And as the economy slows, as I mentioned on Twitter, I think a few days ago, as I mentioned in a previous video, people seek safety, so they buy the long end of the curve, 10-year bonds, 30-year bonds, and push that down. Ultimately, that leads to an inversion, which of course is the ultimate leading indicator to recession. Now, there was a piece actually on while watching BNN yesterday. Yeah, I watched BNN for the first time in God knows how long. And everyone on there seemed so shocked the Canadian 10-year was going lower. Again, you watch this channel, I mentioned it previously in this video. No one should be shocked at this move. In fact, I've probably been the only one on here that's nailed the last 30 points. Everyone thought at 250, oh, it's going to 3.5%, 4%. Where are we at now? We're at 220. Now, where do we stand, though, currently? Remember, I did a previous video saying because of the patterns being shown in the yield curve, Canada in 2018 equals the US in 2006. Now, if you put up a chart again and you correlate that, essentially Canada currently 2018, US in 2006. If you go back about 4 to 5 years, so Canada in 2013, 2014, being the US in 2001 and 2002, of course you see a bit of a gap there and not so much of a correlation. Reason being is in 2001, 2002, of course that was right after 9/11, so we all know what happened there. And then 2013, 2014, the yield curve had essentially stopped its downturn for a little bit, essentially stopped its flattening, and stayed constant for about a year. Of course, that's because both ends of the curve were pushing up on the taper tantrum. Everyone thought the US Federal Reserve at the time was going to start on offloading their balance sheet. And ultimately, they did. It was a lot later, of course, but that's what was going on there. So if you go back on that correlation 5 years, 2013 in Canada to 2001 in the US, 9/11 in 2001, 2002, 2013, 2014, US Federal Reserve taper tantrum. That's the reason why, if you correlate the two together, there is a bit of a gap there. It's all closed now. In fact, if you look at the yield curve currently, essentially mid-2006, mid-2018, we're right there and still going in the same direction. Which then puts it to a Q3, early Q4 inversion, which is ultimately going to lead to the reported recession. Now again, you know where I stand. In Canada, it's already started. The US, they're not too far behind. Let me cover the US here for a second. The yield curve in Canada, the difference, of course, between the 2-year bond and the 10-year bond, right now stands at roughly 32 basis points. In the US, though, It's at 38 basis points now. So if you think of the US as too far behind, they're really not. And of course, they've been propped up by a massive amount of QE. And of course, they have the consumer loan bubble in the U.S. That's starting to pop. You've seen what's happened to the car loans, the credit card charge-offs. Now the same thing's happening here too. But of course, we got a way bigger bubble when it comes at this point when it comes to mortgages and home equity lines of credit that I won't get into in this video, but I've done previous videos on it. Click on my channel link. You can go ahead and look it all up. But what I'm basically saying here is what's happening in the yield curve is essentially what happens when the economy starts going this way. Now, where do I stand with each central bank in Canada and the US Federal Reserve? Bank of Canada raises one more time in July. That's it. US raises two more times. That's it. Now, again, Canada, you know where I stand. They did the rate cut, the two rate cuts that were a serious mistake in 2015, blow off top in credit, and now they're overcompensating for the previous mistake. All they're doing. The US Federal Reserve kept their interest rates at zero for way too long, and now they're overcompensating at their end. And forgetting the QE, of course, and everything else that was done in the US. So yeah, that's where I stand on it. To summarize, what's happening with the yield curve right now is a function of where we are in the economy, as it's starting to slow, and central bank policy always lagging. This is what happens. Hit the like button, leave a comment down below, be sure to subscribe, and as always, follow me on Twitter at CryptoMarkets2. Y'all have a good day.